Sponsored by Lake Charles Memorial Health System. Covering the news for Southwest Louisiana. This is 7 News Nightcast.
Yet another natural disaster hit Southwest Louisiana. Good evening, I'm Marcelo Quadra.
And I'm Andrea Robinson. Tonight, Governor John Bel Edwards declared a state of emergency because of the ongoing flooding threat. We've never seen flooding like this before in Lake Charles. That's what we've heard from so many residents today after relentless rains fell for most of the day, leading to historic flooding. Roads that normally flood were swamped, and some neighborhoods that are normally safe when it comes to flooding saw water in their homes. Meteorologist Jacob Durham has tracked the rain all day.
And he joins us now. And Jacob, I don't know how you're awake right now, but you've been tracking this storm since 5 a.m.
Yeah, just running on adrenaline there, Marcelo, but thankfully we're beginning to see much quieter conditions across Southwest Louisiana as we've progressed through the rest of the overnight. Flash flood warnings in effect over towards Lafayette. That same line that pushed through here now affecting them. Thankfully, they didn't see as much rainfall as we did here in Lake Charles, but we still do have some aerial flood warnings in effect, as well as flash flood watches, as we're still expecting more rain to develop as we head over the next several days. So here's a look north of I-10 near the Oakdale DeRidder vicinity, back over towards DeQuincy and Kinder. Maybe some light showers out there, a few light sprinkles, but other than that, not tracking much in the way of rainfall there. Here's a look back closer to I-10 point southward. If you're looking from Bell City back towards Lake Arthur, here into Lake Charles, Hackberry, things remaining on the dry side, thankfully, and beginning to dry things out near Johnson Bayou as well. This is where radar estimates were picking up on anywhere between 12 to 15 inches of rain, so thankfully that's coming to an end. Temperatures holding pretty steady, upper 60s to lower 70s, and I think this is where many of us will begin to sit and start as we head into Tuesday morning. We'll have to watch for the potential, especially after with all this heavy rainfall, for some fog to develop across the region. Right now, wind speeds are a little bit elevated, around 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the east-southeasterly direction, and that's continuing to be where they'll stay through the majority of the overnight period. Dew points still sitting upper 60s to near 70 degrees, so that tropical feel definitely continuing to be around Southwest Louisiana through the overnight hours. Now, chances of precip remaining around 20% through the overnight. I do expect at least some showers and storms to begin to develop as we head through the morning hours of Tuesday, and we may get a break into the afternoon before more rain arrives Tuesday evening. Bottom line, we're going to need to keep that KPLC First Alert weather app handy, as well as that rain gear. We'll time those rain chances out for us on that Tuesday coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Jacob. And tonight, local streets are littered with cars people had to abandon during the worst of today's flooding. Many people had to be rescued from their vehicles and homes because the water was so high.
And tonight, we even had our news team do a ride-along with high water rescue crew from the Calcasieu Sheriff's Office. Zach Nunez joins us now live after coming back from that ride-along. Zach, what do you see and what does it look like now?
I'm live in downtown Lake Charles between Division and Broad, where the rain has finally stopped, but that wasn't the case earlier. I got to ride along with the High Water Rescue Unit, as you said, and got to see a lot of the flooding firsthand. Riding up and down McNee Street and the surrounding areas, Lake Charles residents began experiencing flooding in their homes and cars. Sergeant Roland Jones says this is the most he's ever seen the area flood, and spent the day with the High Water Rescue crew trying to help the victims.
Well, a whole lot of unexpected flooding, a whole lot of rain. We've got vehicles parked in the middle of the roadway. We've got a whole lot of victims that need to be saved.
The High Water Rescue Unit picked up as many people as they could fit in the truck, which held around 25 people. Connie Davis, one of those rescued, says she woke up to the flooding Monday morning.
And woke up about maybe 11 o'clock due to the fact that we worked nights and graveyards and we were flooded real bad. So we had like at least 2 foot of water in the house.
Davis and many others were transported to the Trinity Baptist Church on Country Club Road near Nelson. Assistant Administrator Dane Boland with the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury says they plan to house more victims overnight and are expected to take in more people as the rescues continue.
And so it's a temporary shelter trying to get the folks who receive flooding in their home. They can come here pending someone pick them up, or we will house some of these folks overnight too. Currently the count's around 95, and we're looking for that number to grow throughout the evening.
The Sheriff's Office implores residents to stay off the roads when events like this occur, as it makes rescuing others even more difficult. At your service, Zach Nunez, KPLC 7 News.
Though the rain has stopped and the water is receding, treacherous road conditions remain across the area.
That's right, and KPLC's Jillian Corder has more tonight.
We wanted to give you an idea of what people are dealing with still in South Lake Charles tonight. This is Nelson Road, just south of the Country Club intersection. You can see still high water over Nelson Road. Many vehicles are trying to make it through that. Some have stalled out earlier today and decided against it. You can see they put their flashers on. That vehicle's been there for several hours now, and you can see the abandoned vehicles on the side of the road that have been there for quite some time. And that's the scene all over Southwest Louisiana. We spoke with a couple earlier who actually helped rescue a few people, and they've seen similar scenes.
Whenever we were driving to help our friends, cars were in the ditch. We couldn't even see but the backs of the tail lights, you know, people walking in wastewater. Somebody that lives off of a main road were just standing there. There are 5 of them as a family, just trying to tell people to slow down because the water from the vehicles going through it so fast was splashing against their house and getting more water into them.
Again, high water still over some roads here in South Lake Charles. A very unsafe situation. You can't tell how deep it is. You also don't know what is floating in it. Very unsafe situation on the road tonight across Lake Charles, and also a concern of many more rain to come this week and what that might mean for our area. At your service, Jillian Corder, KPLC 7 News.
All right, thanks, Jillian. And just about every part of Lake Charles has seen at least 5 inches of water. Now, one part of town that saw some of the heaviest impact is North Lake Charles. And David Duhan took us inside his home on Goss Boulevard, where it was surrounded by water after a nearby canal overflowed. He says since he moved there back in 2019, flooding has been a constant issue.
And here we go, finna start hurricane season all over again. You know, so it's like one thing after another.
And Duhan said he made calls to City Hall about the constant flooding. Now, officials say it is a city issue and that it's been added to their list of residential concerns, a list that Duhan hopes is addressed before hurricane season.
The water is seeping into buildings as well, like it did at Katie's Diner. The whole area surrounding the roads near the diner and Prian Lake Mall were submerged. The flood water being so high on the roads that you could even take out a small boat. And one man did just that. This Lake Charles resident took his kayak out to paddle along the flood water.
I found this kayak on 210, and then I went and bought a set of paddles for it, and then I found 2 more sets of paddles. This is the worst flood since I've been here, and I'm 67 years old.
And if you don't have a kayak, make sure you stay off the roads. The historic cemeteries, which include Orange Grove and the Graceland on Broad Street, were inundated with water from this afternoon's storm. You can see the mess it's leaving behind once that water had the chance to recede. And some schools had to let out early, including Hamilton Christian School right off of Enterprise Boulevard.
And Tri Principal Morgan Doherty says the roads around the area floods regularly, but after a shelter in place, they let their students out early. Now, while students were able to be picked up before the flooding increased, by 6 o'clock, they still had about 20 students waiting to be picked up.
Are not going anywhere. The kids are fine. They're all in our gymnasium. So we just want them to wait until it is safe to do so. The roads look really bad out there, and it looks like it continues to deteriorate pretty quickly.
And Hamilton Christian Academy is just one of the local schools closed tomorrow because of the flooding threat. Now, Calcasieu Parish Schools, Jeff Davis Parish Schools, Lake Charles Charter Schools, and the Bishop Nolan Episcopal Day School will all be closed tomorrow. And some good news, sandbags are now available across Calcasieu Parish. Now, these locations are open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. But please remember the sand and bags are being provided, but residents must bring their own shovels. Now, you can find this list and a lot more information on our website at kplctv.com. And still to come, we'll have much more on the impact of the historic flooding.
And we remember the life of former Governor Buddy Roemer, who passed away today. Those stories as 7 News Nightcast continues. Those who did venture out today were quickly overwhelmed by the flooding and heavy rain.
That's right, and KPLC's Teresa Schmidt found out firsthand just how difficult it was getting around.
Longtime residents usually know which streets to avoid, yet this time many found themselves in trouble even in high-riding vehicles. This is Ernest Street looking south from 18th Street. Some residents in that area say they have water in their apartments. This was 18th Street looking west. As vehicles would pass, it looked like a raging river. Here at the Walgreens, it's almost like an island in the midst of a lake. That's where I found Rachel Meir, happy to find a safe spot to pull off at 18th and Ryan.
I think it's crazy. I think we've been through enough in the past year, and we're seeing flooding that we didn't even see from Delta.
Meir works downtown but lives south of Lake Charles and says when she left home, water was getting dangerously close to people's homes.
Usually it drains, and it's not draining, and I live south of town on the Alabama-Reed, and we're not in a flood zone, and a lot of the houses almost are taken in water, ours included. My husband's there now.
When I left her, Meir was in a holding pattern trying to decide about trying to get home.
And now I'm at a standstill because right here, I don't know how to get home. I'm kind of just sitting at Walgreens right now.
From debris in the parking lot, it was clear the water had been higher at one point. But when the rain is almost constant, it's risky to rely on any road, providing a safe way home. At your service at 18th and Ryan, Teresa Schmidt, KPLC 7 News.
This has been historic rainfall for the lake area.
That's right, and Jacob is here with more on that.
Thankfully beginning to clear things out. Here's a live look at the South Lake Charles sky cam. Definitely not tracking the heavy rain we saw earlier today, and thankfully most of the rain has cleared across Southwest Louisiana, giving us a nice break through the overnight hours. However, there is more in the forecast, unfortunately, through the rest of the week. We'll take a look at that coming up right after the break.
Now, from the First Alert Storm Team, your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Jacob Durham.
Well, good Monday evening, Southwest Louisiana. Thankfully, the shower and storm activity really coming to an end this evening, and we can finally focus on drying things out at least just a little bit. Here's a live look on the South Lake Charles sky cam. Temperature sitting at 69 degrees out there. Dew point sitting at 67. Winds out of the southwesterly direction around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's a look at what we're seeing across the area. Flash flood warning still in effect off towards or east towards the Lafayette vicinity. Thankfully here in downtown Lake Charles, definitely not dealing with the heavy rain that we once were earlier today. Here's a look at DeRidder back towards Oakdale, Kinder, DeQuincy. Remaining dry at this point. There may be a few spritz and sprinkles out there, but definitely none of the heavy rainfall that we saw earlier today. Here's a closer look at Lake Charles, Moss Bluff over towards Fenton and Topsy. Maybe a few light sprinkles, but no heavy rain. That's always good news, especially after the heavy rainfall we saw today. No flash flood warnings over towards Grand Lake or Johnson Bayou as well. Here's a look at some of these 24-hour rainfall totals, though. Very heavy amounts over towards Iowa, looking anywhere between, say, 5 to 6 inches of rain. Now, back just south of Lake Charles, back towards the airport, this is where we were getting estimates of upwards of 12 to 15 inches. Some of the CPPJ rain gauges measured upwards of 15 inches in this particular location. So very heavy rainfall in that area, back towards DeQuincy, over towards the Starks vicinity, back up towards Bancroft, Bivens, as well as Singer, anywhere between, say, 5 to 6 inches of rain. And that's why we're going to continue to see the threat of at least some flash flooding to be a possibility, as we are expecting even more rain over the next few days. Now, by far the heaviest of totals, at least in southwest Louisiana, appear to be in far southwestern sections of Cameron, where it's estimating upwards of a foot of rain or more in some of those areas. So that's definitely something we continue to track, of course, for you as well. Here's a look at those temperatures. 70 degrees in Oakdale, 70 for Lake Charles, 69 towards Jennings, 74 there along the coastline in Cameron. So temperatures holding pretty steady throughout much of the day and into the overnight hours. I think this is basically where we'll wake up to on our Tuesday morning. As for our winds, though, they still are out of the east-southeasterly direction, around 5 to 10 miles per hour, occasionally gusting a little bit higher than that, but still a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. You can see the blow-up of showers and storms now off towards our east, but we have more where that came from back off towards the north and west, and those will be making their way towards our area as we head through the Tuesday time frame. So overnight, a passing shower can't be ruled out starting early on Tuesday morning, back into the upper 60s, lower 70s. could be dealing with a few spotty showers, but watch as we head towards lunchtime. Here comes some of those showers and storms. Once again, not looking nearly as widespread or heavy as today. Now, that doesn't mean that won't be the case, but I think we'll get a break through the afternoon. Temperatures back into the lower 80s, but watch as we head through the overnight. Here comes our next round of rain pushing in from the northwest, and it's going to come in rounds. It's not going to be all at one time as this area of cutoff low pressure continues to drift off towards the south and the east. Now, we do have high pressure building off towards our east. This is going to keep the eastern seaboard dry and warm throughout the rest of this week, and eventually will become our friend as we head towards Friday and Saturday as it builds back to the west. It is going to overtake this area of low pressure, and that's going to keep us dry as we head right on through the ending part of the weekend and into next week, at least according to this particular model. So that's good for us. However, the bad news is we're still looking at a good 3 to 5 inches across the area. Some areas could pick up a little bit more. Once again, a flash flood watch is in effect all the way through the Thursday evening time frame. And looking at the 10-day forecast, we're definitely tracking unsettled conditions with rain chances sitting at 90% through the Thursday time frame, slowly beginning to quieten things down as we head towards next week. But we still got to get through an unsettled stretch ahead. You'll need to make sure to keep the KPLC First Alert weather app handy as you're heading out the door. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Drivers throughout Southwest Louisiana face dangerous conditions on the road today with torrential rain and flooding streets.
That's right, and I did get a chance to speak to one local resident to see how this weather has impacted his neighborhood.
Flooding and stalled cars could be found across Lake Charles Monday afternoon. Unfortunately for Rebecca Sturgis, she got a first-hand experience after her car stalled out in Kirkman trying to go home.
At first it seemed like I was going to make it through, and then it got just too high and it just stalled out.
But she wasn't the only one that tried to cross the flooded streets. Now, while others realized they weren't going to make it, others tested their luck. And for those taking that risky drive, it should be noted that they are affecting nearby properties.
It's, the drainage is bad enough, but the people who really don't care about the neighborhood or the people living here come down the road and they wash our. I've replaced my driveway, I don't know, 5 times because it just washes away. So it's just a continuing problem.
Tip Hart, a resident on Kirkman Street, says flooding is a reoccurring issue for him and his neighbors.
The church has 3 steps from the street. When it gets to the 3rd step, you know you're having issues. And then this doesn't help.
And now I did step out to conduct that interview that you just watched, and as I crossed the street, you can easily see just how high that water was. Now, at one point, what seemed like debris was floating down the street. Hart says poor drainage in the neighborhood has been a long-running problem that has not been addressed.
Next, we remember the life of former Governor Buddy Roemer, who passed away today.
Stay with us. Former Louisiana Governor Buddy Roemer died today at the age of 77.
His son, Chaz Roemer, says his father died peacefully at his Baton Rouge home after a long battle with diabetes. Sabrina Wilson looks back at Roemer's legacy.
No 2 politicians could be more different than Edwin Edwards and me.
In 1988, Charles Buddy Roemer, a conservative Democrat, became Louisiana's 52nd governor after snaring more votes than fellow Democrat and then Governor Edwin Edwards. Harvard-educated, Roemer was reform-minded.
Well, I'm very saddened to hear of his passing.
Former Louisiana Senate President John Alario was in the legislature when Roemer was governor.
He came in under the Roemer Revolution and was going to clean house and did a suitable job.
Roemer had to deal with a fiscal crisis.
But he tackled that, ended up balancing the budget, had to borrow some money to make that work.
Political analyst Silas Lee also remembers Roemer's governorship.
He came in under strong reforms, teacher pay raise, environmental protections, but it went quickly from being highly praised to strongly criticized.
He was strong about helping the Saints stay here. In actuality, more gambling passed under Buddy Roemer than Edwin Edwards.
Roemer lost his re-election bid and Edwin Edwards made a comeback. Roemer later eyed a higher office.
He ran for president
but his candidacy never caught on.
Well, he could not get on the state ballots. He was polling very low.
Current Governor John Bel Edwards said in part, Buddy Roemer proudly represented the state he so dearly loved. I hope that we will all carry on his legacy by espousing his positive, passionate approach to public service. United States Senator John Kennedy said, Louisiana weeps. Buddy was one of the most interesting people I ever met. He was immeasurably talented. All he ever wanted to do was make Louisiana better, and he did. U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy said Buddy's election as governor signaled a turning point in Louisiana's history. He loved Louisiana, contributing to it through the public and private sector. He leaves a great legacy. And Representative Steve Scalise said Buddy wasn't afraid to speak his mind, and his educational reforms helped increase teacher pay and improve standards in the classroom. Our prayers are with his family during this difficult time.
How would you summarize Buddy Roemer's legacy?
He was a maverick in many ways, a man before his times. It was not always a smooth path for governing.
But he didn't have much patience for politicians not maybe solving things.
I'm Sabrina Wilson, Fox 8, Local First.
Roemer switched to the Republican Party while governor, but Silas Lee says he wasn't in lockstep with any party. Governor John Bel Edwards ordered flags lowered to half-staff until Roemer's burial.
And coming up next, Jacob has another check of the First Alert forecast.
Stay with us.
The good news is we're continuing to dry things out across Southwest Louisiana this afternoon and evening, and that's the good news, that we'll be dry as we head through the overnight. Hopefully that allows that water to recede just a little bit. We'll zoom in north of I-10, a few light sprinkles here or there, but that's about it. Not tracking any flash flood warnings for our area. Further south, much of the same. Still going to be tracking at least some high water in many locations, and unfortunately heading into tomorrow, we're going to be tracking more showers and storms, especially as we head towards the morning and then the afternoon hours. Temperatures back into the lower 80s tomorrow. We'll keep those rain chances right around 90% all the way through the rest of the Thursday time frame. That's when our flash flood watch will finally begin to end, but still several inches of rain possible. Make sure to have the KPLC First Alert weather app for the latest updates.
All right, thanks, Jacob, and thanks for joining us.
Have a good night, everyone.
Get your local news, weather, and sports on the go. Download the KPLC mobile apps today. Sponsored by Christus Ochsner Health, Southwestern Louisiana.